Good morning, Alliance. I'm Barry Allen. I'm the District 11B1 chairperson for the Penrickton Center for Blind Children. And I want to introduce you to Josh. He's 12 years old. He's basically legally blind, and he has multiple disabilities. And he is a resident of the Penrickton Center for Blind Children. Penrickton Center started in the early 1950s by three families: the Pinmans, the Rickers, and the Wigingtons. Penrickton. All three families had a blind child, and you can imagine today it would be nearly impossible to find a daycare center, a babysitter, if you had a blind child. So in the 1950s, it was impossible. So they were helping each other take care of their children, and eventually moved to the basement of a church and added more kids with blind disabilities. In 1952, the Taylor Alliance Club and the City of Taylor provided a land grant to give them some property in the City of Taylor, which is just over by the Detroit Metro Airport. The Taylor Alliance Club and some private donations provided funding for their first building, which they completed in 1955, which was just a daycare for blind children. Then later in the 1950s, they expanded that to do a 5-day residential program for the kids. The kids show up on Sunday evening, they spend the entire week at the center, and then on Friday night they go home. They are with their families for the weekends and for holidays. In the 1960s, they changed their requirements that the person not only be blind, but they have a multiple disability of some kind. So they could be deaf, they could have cerebral palsy, mental disables, brain damage, or even seizures. In 2001, they got a $2.1 million funding to greatly expand their operation. They more than doubled their building. They rewired the entire building for new wiring, new plumbing, new heating, made the entire building made it all handicapped accessible. Their playroom more than doubled. They brought their capacity up to 33 children, and currently they have 24 children living there. Programs that they have now: they still do the daycare center for ages 1 through 6, and mostly these are for children that live within about 1 hour driving distance. They do the 5-day residential program. This is for kids that live, for kids from 1 to 12 that live within about a 2-hour driving range, because you have to drop off your child and pick them up again. They also do consultation. They are one of the world's leading experts on how to deal with blind, multi-disabled children. So they do lots of consultation throughout the Midwest, but they actually are international. They do consulting in Germany, Japan, and South America. Funding for the programs and for the building comes from three major sources. Primarily with 30% from Lions Clubs, about 30% from corporate and some grant money, and surprisingly 30% comes from motorcycle clubs, which is really ironic when you go to their fall kickoff dinner and half the people in there are wearing leathers. And they have several motorcycle rallies throughout the year that benefit Penrickton Center. They get absolutely no federal money, no Medicare, no insurance, no United Way. It's all donations. Cost to the families for the daycare center, $0. Cost for the 5-day residential services, $0. Their staff is comprised of social workers, physical therapy, occupational therapy, and at a ratio of about 1 staff member per 3 children. But they have over 400 volunteers, and at any one time, usually the ratio is 1 to 1. December 3rd is their Christmas party. You see the picture of Josh again. My wife and I have adopted him every year for the last 3 years for Christmas. The center tells us what mentally appropriate gifts would be good for him, toys and whatnot. He's legally blind. He can see some shapes. He can see bright colors, that sort of thing. But he's 12 years old. My 2 grandsons are 12 years old. They're about this big. He's 12 years old and he's about this big. He's in a wheelchair, but he can scoot around on his butt and go just about anywhere he wants to go. He can propel his own wheelchair. But you notice his birthday is in April. In April, he'll turn age 13. He will age out of Penrickton, and it'll be up to the family to take care of him, and I don't know where they'll go from there. And as if being blind and multi-disabled isn't bad enough, last fall his mother died. So the reason I wanted to talk to you about Penrickton Center, it's primarily in southeast Michigan. If you're in the west, you're north, up in the UP, you're never going to use these services. But you should know what a fantastic operation we have down here and a resource that's available to the citizens of Michigan. Any questions? David?
This is unfair because I have been at Penrickton. Can you describe the playroom for these people that don't know about it?
Part of this 2.1. Oh, wait, could you repeat the question? Oh, no, I repeat the question. Just describe the playroom. When they did this $2.1 billion expansion, the playroom was one part of it, and it's about the size of this room. But what really makes it unique is, have you ever seen these track systems? They have them crisscrossing. There's like 3 or 4 systems in there where they can take them from that room back to their room and anywhere in there. But what they do is they'll hang a child in there in a harness, and a child that can't walk, they'll have them close enough to where he can or she can actually move themselves around. They also, off the walls, have hanging racks where they'll have swings, monkey bars, and things like that, because blind people need this hands-on, touchy-feely on things, because they can't see it. And that's why all the toys they get are bright colors, they make a lot of noise. And the other thing they do is visual enhancement, where they have boards that have things hanging off them, like a fork or a ball, so that they can lay on their back and just touch this stuff. And that gets their mental thinking on what's around them, opens up their world for them to where they want to touch and feel more things and learn more. Any other questions?